Okay, a bit of time skip. Right. Whoa, what?
We found Amy Pond.
She had strange markings on her arm. There's no way out this time.
Yes, there is.
There's always a way out.
I was just gonna say. Oh.
You're building me the perfect prison. And it still won't be enough.
Oh. Oh my god.
It'd look better if I shot you while you're running. Then again, looks at everything.
Yeah. Let's keep that in mind though, right? Looks aren't everything.
Cut off from the rest of the universe.
Meaning? You could talk.
So I guess they can't hear us, right?
There you go.
Dorsey-old. You bet.
Haha.
They know there's no way out of this place.
Exactly. Whatever they might think we're doing in here, they know we're not going anywhere.
Shall we?
Orphanage, eh? Oh, that girl might have come from here.
And describe aloud exactly what you'll see.
Huh.
And describe aloud exactly what you'll see. Because the moment you break contact, you're going to forget it happened. The light will flash if you
Look at River.
message. But you'll have to find her. I'm off to NASA.
The orphanage.
Where do we look? It's about a missing child.
What are you?
Yes, come in, please.
Oh, he is kind of on edge. Something's going on here, folks.
This way.
Ah.
Excuse the riding. It keeps happening.
Where are you?
Gotta go. Got company.
Don't worry, I've got everything about the way I found it. Except this. There's always a bit left over, isn't there?
Oh, it's blinking. It's blinking. Oh my god.
Bitch.
There he is.
I'm sure he had a very good reason for that. But I need you to release him now so he can
Looking
go do
smart.
important work for the American people.
Oh. I like this look for Rory. Look at this.
The child. She must be cared for. It's important.
Huh.
That's what they said.
Oh.
Who said?
Oh. So these creatures know about the child. I mean, clearly it's some... the child is special. The little girl is special, for sure.
Hello. Who are you?
No, I think she's just dreaming.
Right.
Hello? I saw you.
Oh, there's her bedroom. Yeah. Stars. The moon. Let's see those photos. Let's see those photos. What? Oh my god.
How can that be me?
Is it Amy's daughter? Oh my god, there she is.
Who are you? I don't understand, so just
Oh
tell
my
me who
God.
you are. I don't understand.
Please help me. Help me,
How?
please.
Yes, I see. Who was that? Dr. Renfrew.
Yeah, it's one of those creatures.
Who was who?
Yeah. Oh.
Where is she, Doctor?
You can always hear me, Doctor. Always. Wherever she is, and she always knows that I am coming for her. Do you understand me?
Doctor. Oh, God. Please. Please, Doctor, just get me out of this.
Ah. Makes sense.
Silence, Doctor.
Listen to that. Silent.
Yeah. They said that.
Hi, fellas.
Ooh, the prosthetics.
I'm President Nixon.
Then why did the human race suddenly decide to go to the moon?
Ignition sequence start.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Because the Silence needed a spacesuit.
A unit like this, would it ever be able to move without an occupant?
Why?
Well, the little girl said the spaceman was coming to eat her. Maybe that's exactly what happened.
Oh.
I love you. I know you think it's him. I know you think it ought to be him. But it's not. Just to see your stupid face. My life was so boring before you just dropped out of the sky.
Oh.
She'll be safe for now. A dead hostage. Trevor, remember it. 2,000 years waiting for Amy.
Wow.
The last centurion.
No.
You lying?
Of course I'm lying.
Of course you are.
Wow.
Not the sort of thing anyone forgets.
Armstrong and Aldrin making their descent to the surface of the moon.
It's really reminding me of The First Man, the Damien Chazelle film. Brilliant. Ryan Gosling. Oh, is it the TARDIS they made? From the lodger?
Where am I?
Interesting. Fairhaven Road. Seen one of these before.
Yeah.
Abandoned. Wonder how that happened.
Yeah.
I suppose I'm about to find out. First, you tell me about the girl. Who is she? Why is she important? What's she for? Ready? Ready.
Oh boy. Yep. You installed that earlier, right?
That's one small step for man.
That's right.
My old fella
Oh.
didn't see that, did he? He gets ever so cross.
I wasn't sure who you were talking about. You know,
Yeah.
me or
Him?
Well, you did say dropped out of the sky.
It's a figure of speech, moron.
So we're safe again.
Safe? No, of course you're not safe. There's about a billion other things out there just waiting to burn your whole world.
Look at this guy.
But,
Yeah.
dare I ask, will I be remembered?
Oh, Dickie. Tricky Dickie. They're never going to forget you.
Yeah.
Say hi to David Frost for me. David Frost.
I know what people think of me, but perhaps I'm a little more liberal.
He is.
I think the moon is far enough for now. Don't you, Mr. Delaware?
I figured it might be.
Have I forgotten something?
Shut up.
There you go.
Interesting.
What's wrong? You're acting like we've never done that before.
We haven't.
We haven't.
Oh, look at the time. Must be off. But it was very nice. It was good. You know what they say? There's a first time for everything.
Oh, River.
And a last time.
There's lots of stuff I can't quite remember.
Yeah. That you had a daughter and she got snatched from the looks of it?
Told me you were pregnant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Because I was. I mean, I thought I was. Turns out I wasn't.
No.
No.
If I was pregnant for some of it, wouldn't it have had an effect? I don't want to tell Rory his baby might have 3 heads, or like a time head or something.
What's a time head?
I don't know, but what if it had one?
A time head.
Shut up, Rory.
It raises an interesting question, at least. Yeah. Huh?
Are you okay?
I'm dying. But I can fix that. See?
god. Well, what? Okay, I mean, yeah, that's quite the shocking sight. Because I've only really seen or known the Time Lords to be able to, regenerate. Be it the Master, be it the Doctor. Yes, the thought did kind of occur to me for a split moment. Is this potentially the return of the Master? No, I really don't think so, right? But, given the nature of it, that it is a regeneration, yeah, I had that thought for a split moment at least. Now, before I do go any further, the one thing I'm going to stick to here is the thought or the idea or the theory that is meant to be Amy's daughter and Rory's daughter as well then, right? Of course. I feel like that is something I'm going to stick to. And, the show itself is kind of directing the audience towards that thought, right? Maybe there is a possibility of a misdirect, but I feel like the clues and hints are a bit too tough to miss here. That indeed Amy is pregnant. You could see the Doctor didn't buy that at all, right? He wasn't convinced. So of course, he kind of ran his own tests, though the test itself is kind of inconclusive given that it's showing that she is and she isn't. Earlier in the episode at the orphanage, and I've got to say I really, really quite enjoyed the segments at the orphanage. Wow, really, really enjoyed that. But her going into the young girl's room, essentially, she was clearly being kept there. She had a caretaker who's told. I mean, this caretaker is quite tormented. Yeah, but yeah, he confirmed that he was told by them, essentially them being the Silence. That's the big reveal as well. That she's to be cared for, right? That she is important. I mean, that much is clear, right? That she is important to something they're trying to do, or that something they've been trying to do, or have done, essentially. But yeah, the photo of her holding the baby. Come on, the show itself is telling us at this point. It felt like at least half of this episode, at least that first half of this episode, kind of felt like setup. Not setup for something that's going to be, concluded by the end of this episode, but again, set up for the long story arc, right? Long form storytelling. It had a distinct feeling of that. There's things like that. Eye patch lady. Clearly, that's something that's going to happen down the line, right? In series 6, or it's going to make sense down the line. And then, you could tell through Amy's reactions and the things that are happening specifically to Amy that, there's a lot of setup here for things that are going to be kind of drip fed essentially throughout the series to the audience. And I'm quite excited for that. There's a lot of setup there. So even if the two-parter has kind of a conclusion, a lot of things are kind of left really open-ended, right? Right to the last moments. The big shocker. This young girl, sweet young girl on her own. Clearly she hasn't had a loving childhood, right? She seems to be in the care of the Silence, or she was in the care of the Silence. It's a rough childhood. But yeah, she regenerates. But, before I kind of go too far back into the episode, let's kind of focus on that ending, right? Yes, as of this point, I maintain the notion or the idea that is meant to be Rory and Amy's daughter. I'm going to stick to that, right? I'm not gonna flip flop on that. That was my initial, urge or thought on the matter. So I'm going to stick to that. I kind of feel quite confident about that. And then, notice how Amy and the Doctor, yes, she might be joking about, side effects of being pregnant and being pregnant on the TARDIS, right? She's joking about like time heads or 3 heads, all of that, right? But, you know, the moment that scene concludes, switches to the finale, essentially, right? Switches to this young girl regenerating. So I think, you know, the clues are there, right? So I really do think one of the strong possibilities is being hinted at right then and there, that indeed this could be side effects. Now, that being said, if I do stick to that notion that this is indeed Amy and Rory's daughter, and, you know, she gets snatched, and, you know, in that sense, I think it's really clear that things are kind of happening out of order, right? There's a lot of time missing. You know, there's a depiction of that earlier. Like I mentioned, there's a lot of setup, especially at the orphanage for Amy, specifically. And, you know, the silence, they kidnapped Amy, so of course they needed Amy, and they made it clear that, you know, her role is about to come to an end, right? About to reach its conclusion, meaning she is playing a part into something they've been doing, right? Essentially, I feel like her baby got snatched. That was the feeling I was getting here. But again, it feels like it's kind of being done out of order, right? Because you see that Amy is kind of pregnant now, or she might not be pregnant, right? Again, you know, the doctor is seeing those results, but if I stick to that train of thought, she's already given birth to their potential daughter, this girl at the end, and she's kind of, you know, grown up, again, under the care of the silence, and I say care quite loosely, but I guess, you know, they placed her at that orphanage, and this caretaker, who I might have misheard, I think it was maybe Renford, but it could have been Renfield, right? Bit of a nod to Dracula. I don't know, sometimes, you know, I've mentioned this a few times now, the dialogue, it's not as clear. You know, I guess that's kind of, you know, down to the sound mixing sometimes. It kind of gets drowned out a lot of times. And, you know, for that reason, sometimes I do like to turn on the subtitles, but then that's kind of like a double-edged sword, because the subtitles can kind of spoil something before it's meant to happen, right? Sometimes before someone's about to make this big reveal or something, or say something, the subtitles are at the bottom before they can say it. So, you know, it's tough to decide. But yeah, you know, it could have been Renfield. But, you know, if this is Amy and Rory's daughter, she's regenerating, so she's about to regenerate into someone else, right? So that should be interesting. The next time I see this individual, right, she's going to look really different, right? Again, you know, I kind of mentioned the Masters, so there is a possibility of Time Lord, you know, part Time Lord. Is that even a thing? I don't know. You know, the thought of this potentially being the Doctor and Amy's kid, I don't know. Again, it occurred to me, but it's just so far-fetched. It's so far-fetched, and I just don't see how it could possibly ever go into that direction. So, you know, it's almost as if it comes to mind, but almost immediately I kind of toss that aside, that notion, that idea. So see, the thing is, I'm so confident about this being Amy and Rory's daughter that, you know, things like her potentially being the Doctor and River's daughter don't even come into play, right? I mean, that would make sense, right? It would make sense. Realistically, you know, again, there is regeneration going on. Doctor, River, right? But the thing is, I'm just so sure that this is meant to be Amy's daughter that it almost immediately kind of eliminates a lot of possibilities in my mind. But then if you go back to episode 1, The Impossible Astronaut, you know, like I mentioned, I do think that it is meant to be River Song who shot the Doctor, right? So yeah, you know, this series is about to be quite mental. It's about to be quite mental, isn't it? And also, a bit earlier in the episode, you know, it's a fantastic scene. You know, it's River Song and the Doctor kind of bringing their heads together, trying to figure things out. Again, his intellectual equal, right? So I love it. I love it anytime they kind of bounce off of each other. And there's a great scene there as they're kind of analyzing this spacesuit. And the purpose of the spacesuit seems to be to find the girl and protect the girl. That's my thought on it as of this point. So, you know, then the question becomes, who exactly modified this spacesuit? Yes, you know, they answered the question You know, the Silence needed a spacesuit. So for that reason, they kind of influence, you know, space travel or, you know, going to the moon specifically so there can be a spacesuit, right? But, you know, the notion that the suit itself, you know, it can move. So it's not that the girl is in control inside the suit, right? The suit is kind of acting on its own. Again, as confirmed by River Song. And again, you know, she mentioned, oh, the spaceman's going to get me. So the spaceman got her. But like I just mentioned, it feels like it was kind of by design, you know, to go after the girl, to go look for the girl, to locate the girl and protect the girl, right? But of course, from the young girl's perspective, it's a scary thing. You know, the spaceman's going to get me. And of course, there's some key information during that scene, right? River Song confirms that indeed the girl is human, right? So that kind of almost immediately eliminated any thoughts of, you know, being part Time Lord or being Time Lord altogether. Listen, I mean, it's quite the side effect to have, if indeed it is a side effect of being pregnant on the TARDIS. You know, again, they're kind of bringing it up in a joking manner, but, you know, I think you have to take note of the transitional hinge. Always have to focus on the transitional hinge. Most good stories always kind of, you know, make use of that or make great use of it. And of course, you know, confirmation that these are the Silence, these creatures, these aliens. Though, of course, you know, aliens, are they really aliens? Since they've been here long before humanity. You know, they've been on Earth the whole time, right? So can you really even call them aliens? They're the natives, essentially. And you know, I kind of love the idea of them being there the whole time, and influencing key moments in, you know, human history. Listen, I know it's being implied that, you know, they are doing a lot of these things for self-gain, but is it really that bad of a thing? You know, if you really think about it, you know, I'm kind of, you know, trying to keep it interesting. To see it from both perspectives, I guess. You know, if indeed they are behind a lot of these things in human history, they've done some good things. They've done some good things for humanity, right? Again, an ulterior motive perhaps behind all of these things. And of course, this whole post-hypnotic suggestion idea, it's a clever one, isn't it? It's an interesting one for sure. And you see that the Doctor flipped it on them. Though, you know, I've got to say, this is a bit out of character for the Doctor, isn't it? Right? There's no discussion. He doesn't even think to engage in any sort of discussion to really find out their motives. Though, you know, it appears that they are the ones that blew up the TARDIS, right? The ones that tried to destroy the universe. So yeah, you know, it does feel a bit out of character for the Doctor, who's essentially turning, or has turned, all of humanity into mass murderers for all of their lives, essentially. You know, essentially at some point in their lives, they've been killing aliens, or they have killed an alien, right? You know, just because they don't know about it doesn't mean they haven't done it, right? The audience knows it, the Doctor knows it now. So, you know, there's that angle as well, you know, that he goes right for the jugular. But, you know, you have to take into consideration the opponent, the threat. That is a Silence. You know, it's a threat that needs to be dealt with immediately, given the whole nature of not remembering them the moment you kind of break that concentration, that eye contact, you know, for a split moment, and it's gone. But I do think that ultimately the Doctor is kind of neutralizing their best asset, right, by forcing them into hiding. Because, you know, they can no longer influence the actions of these people or humanity if they can no longer reveal themselves or show themselves to humanity, you know, out of the risk or danger of being attacked and killed, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting topic for sure, or, you know, discussion point for sure, how the Doctor handles this. But, you know, I kind of touched up on things kind of being out of sync, you know, time missing and all that, right? Let's go to the biggest one of all that's been around for some time now, River Song, right? Yeah, it's a bit of a heartbreaking moment, isn't it? I mean, it's a lovely moment at first, of course. But then, you know, the Doctor's reaction really hit her hard. It was the Doctor's first and potentially River's last, right? So, you know, beneath that thrill-seeking, badass nature, and, you know, that's not a front, you know, that's not a facade or anything. That is River Song, you know, that's who she is. But, you know, underneath that, there is a lot of sorrow, right? Because of knowledge that she has. And, you know, I love those moments, you know, anytime her humanity kind of shines through or is on display, right? It's always sad. It's so sad. And, you know, these shots of River Song, you know, these shots that linger on River Song, it really puts you in her shoes. I mean, I can only speak for myself, you know, anytime I see her like that, you know, being really sad about the situation, and the reality of the situation kind of hitting her, you know, it has the same effect on me. You know, that the shot that kind of lingers on her face, as she, you know, as she stated, and the last, there's a first for everything and a last. You know, I was thinking the same things. You know, so I think it's really quite effective. And you know, in that sense, I've got to say, the directing has been fantastic over these past 2 episodes, and I believe it was Toby once again. I recognize that name. But us, the audience, knows there's still quite a bit of River Song and Doctor to come, right? I mean, he still needs to give her the screwdriver that she has in, you know, Forest of the Dead and Silence in the Library. So a lot of exciting moments ahead, for sure. So, you know, even if it is sad, having that knowledge, and, you know, that kind of doubles for, you know, River, Amy, and Rory knowing about the Doctor's death, right? The death that all of us get to see in the first episode. Again, you know, that kind of plays into the whole, you know, out of sync nature of it all. Things are happening out of sync. Again, you know, Amy's pregnancy seems to be happening out of sync, right? Because it appears that she already gave birth and kind of lost her child. It was like snatched essentially from the looks of it. But now you have at the end of this, you know, she might be pregnant, she might not be pregnant. It's a toss-up. And, you know, speaking of Amy and Rory and that relationship, I mean, they're married at this point, but it doesn't mean everything's still perfect. You know, it looks like they still need to kind of improve that communication, right? Because, you know, you could tell there's still moments that they don't quite know how to approach a certain topic. And, you know, I've got to say there's quite a bit of humor in this that I really enjoyed, you know, be it from Nixon popping up, you know, different places. And, you know, he is quite integral to some of these things, right? Because the Doctor and his crew of companions need Nixon, right? The commander-in-chief, to kind of make some things happen for them, right? You know, I've got to say, I like Nixon. Or at least this character of Nixon in this particular story, right? It's a charitable portrayal of Nixon, that's for sure, of course. But I found him quite funny. You know, I found myself kind of smiling and kind of laughing and giggling anytime he kind of shows up on screen. And then, of course, you know, there's a suggestion that the Doctor was quite a contributor to Watergate, essentially, right? Him telling Nixon to, you know, make sure to record everything. Do not trust anyone else. I'm the only one you can trust. So like I mentioned, it was quite a charitable portrayal of Nixon, and, you know, it made him likable. You know, I thought he was quite likable. And of course, you know, his reaction to Kenton saying he, right? They alluded to this in the first episode, right? That he just wanted to get married. But yeah, it was a difficult thing at that point in time in the late 60s and 70s. But, you know, his reaction to Kenton saying he is, I thought that was quite humorous, right? Just his actual reaction to it, not the situation of him not being able to marry the person he loves, but you guys know what I mean, right? You know, just the idea and notion of him finding this being a step too far, and that the moon landing is enough of a big step as of this point. Again, you know, him turning to the other side and that expression on his face. It is a funny scene, it is, especially given the things that are out there about Nixon as well, right? So yeah, I thought it was quite a humorous scene at the end there. And, you know, speaking of Kenton, you know, I enjoyed him so much in this 2-parter. I certainly hope he can make another cameo at some point. And, you know, speaking of cameos or, you know, further appearances, the Silence, I certainly hope to see them again. And I'm sure I am going to see them again. You know, they've been set up since the 11th hour, and, you know, there's no chance this is the last of them. No chance. I get the feeling that they're going to stick around for a long time. Right till perhaps Matt Smith's last season as well, or series as well. And of course, there's other fun moments, you know, like Rory giving the British salute. And, you know, Rory was looking quite handsome, wasn't he? He was looking quite good in that suit and the shades, or the glasses. Sorry, not the shades. It was a good look for him, for sure. And then, of course, River Song kind of shooting the last of the silence, essentially, because she saw the reflection in Rory's eyes. Because it wasn't his reaction, was it? Because there was no reaction on his face before she shoots. So I'm guessing she saw the reflection in his eyes, right? And lastly, Rory and the 2,000-year question, right, by the doctor. I thought that was a great moment. And, I mentioned those lingering feelings that Rory still has. Again, they kind of focus on that in the last episode. There's a bit of that here. Though, by the end of it kind of gets cleared up. So, yeah, there's still a bit of that. And also, lastly, I think it's possible that at this point, the doctor knows that this astronaut suit, or whoever's in the astronaut suit, ends up killing him at some point, because I think Amy kind of almost tells him indirectly, right, by shooting the astronaut suit, potentially shooting her own daughter. But she was glad that she didn't end up shooting her. It is a child in there. Of course, she has no idea this could potentially be her daughter or anything. But yeah, I think the doctor might have an idea. He almost kind of alludes to it, right? You only live once. And then you see Amy and Rory's reaction to that. But also notice how he's not kind of, or he's okay with the idea of letting the girl be out there. At first he does kind of allude to that, or bring up that notion of going after the girl. But then almost immediately he just switches it to, or let's go have an adventure. You only live once, right? So I think as of this point, he has enough of an understanding that something strange is going on here. The girl is important for sure. He knows this at this point. And he'll keep a track of it, I think. But yeah, that's about it for this episode, I think, for now at least. Given the nature of this and the setup and all of it, I'm sure I'll be coming back to this episode and the last episode as well, many times throughout Series 6, and thinking back to the things that are playing out here. But yeah, it's certainly right up there as one of the best two-parters of the series, easily. I mean, these are some fantastic episodes, both of them, back to back. Wow. Right then, if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you're interested in full length or perhaps early access to the next episode right now, consider checking out the Patreon page. The links are in the description in the pinned comment. Okay, so that's it for this one. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for your time, as time is precious. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.